Okay, currently our application's running on HTTP rather than HTTPS, and we get the warning saying our connection to this site is not secure. And we're in development mode, we're running on localhost, that's absolutely fine. But due to the number of requests I had from students that really wanted to run their Angular application over HTTPS whilst in development mode, whilst in localhost, and localhost means that our application is only available locally on the developer machine that we're on, and no nasty people on the internet can get into our application yet or steal our data yet. We haven't published it yet. But regardless, due to popular demand, I've included this on this training course. So let's take a look at how we can do this. Now, by far and away, the easiest way to do this is to use a package called mkcert, and I've just searched for this in Google, and I'm going to go to this GitHub repository, and this is a simple zero config tool to generate self-signed certificates. Because we don't typically use proper certificates whilst we're developing an application, we use self-signed certificates that are not suitable for use on the internet. We'd want proper certificates that other browsers can trust, but because this is our developer machine, we can use self-signed certificates for development. But we still need to get past our own browser security, which by its very nature will not want to trust a self-signed certificate. So by using this facility, we can make this a lot easier for us to manage. Now, just to point out, depending on your own computer, your own operating system, your own browser, there's many different ways where this might not work for you. And on a normal default installation operating system, this will work, but maybe you work for a company where they've locked down certain features of your computer. This may not work for you. And if it doesn't work for you, it's not a problem. You can carry on developing in HTTP. We'll publish it securely with a proper certificate later on, but for the time being, where we're developing, then consider this completely optional. And it's perfectly fine to run your application over HTTP if what I'm demonstrating here is not possible for you, depending on the security of your computer, because we do need to get our browsers to trust this certificate. So the first thing we need to do is actually get hold of this utility. And the installation depends on your browser. Again, this could be the first stumbling block. If you're on macOS, then the easiest way to install this is to use Homebrew. If you don't have Homebrew, then you can come ahead, run this script to install Homebrew onto your operating system, and then follow the guidance to just install mkcert along with an additional package if you want this to work in Firefox as well. If you're on Linux, then please follow their guidance on using certutil. And I'm not a Linux user, so I presume this would be okay, but I can't test it or haven't tested it. Or you can also use Homebrew on Linux as well. And if you're on Windows, then there's a couple of package managers that you can use, Chocolatey or Scoop. And I don't know about these pre-built binaries, how useful they are, as you need something extra to run these as well. I would suggest using either Scoop Package Manager or Chocolatey, as per their suggestion there, to go ahead and actually install mkcert. So this is the first stumbling block, and honestly, if any of these don't work for your machine, or you can't get it working using any of those, then I really can't help you, because it will be down to your security on your own machine, and I do not have access to your machine. So I'm going to demonstrate this on the presumption you could get this working, but if it doesn't work, don't worry about it, and just continue on to the next lesson and run everything on HTTP, or at least the Angular app on HTTP. But on the basis that you did get this far, then the first thing you need to do, and you may need to do this as an administrator on your computer, is just run this command, mkcert-install, and if I just go back to VS Code, and we will need to stop our Angular app for what we're doing here anyway, because we are going to make a change to angular.json. So we first of all need to use the makecert install after we have it installed on our computer. Now I've already done this, I have Homebrew installed on my machine, so if I run this command, it's going to tell me that the local certificate authority is already installed in your system trust store. So because of the nature of what this utility does, then first of all, you might need to run this as an administrator or use sudo on Mac or Linux. And again, if it's not your own computer, it's a company computer, then maybe that will work, maybe it will not. Again, if any of this is tricky, don't worry about it. However, if you did get that far, then we can go ahead and create certificates that we can use for our Angular application. So once that has successfully completed, then we can use a command from mkcert to create certificates. But first of all, just for organizational purposes, I'm going to make a directory called SSL. So mkdir SSL inside the client directory. And then I'm going to cd into the new SSL directory. And then we just need to run mkcert and localhost. Please be accurate here. This has to match the name of the domain we're running on. In our case, this is localhost. So we just say mkcert localhost. And this then generates a new certificate valid for the following names, localhost. And our certificate is valid at this location. And its key is at that location. And it tells us an expiry date. But if we get to this particular date and our certificates have expired, then we just need to run this command again and we'll get fresh new certificates. So if we take a look at the folder in question that we've created, the SSL folder, we can see our two files there. So then we just need to tell Angular about these files. And we do that inside, not the build section, we need to go down to the serve section here. So we go down below configurations and we're looking for this section, the serve section. And inside here, just at the top, I'm going to open some quotes, specify options, and then inside our options we can specify again in quotes and say SSL and set this to be true. Then we can say the SSL cert location, and again this needs to be accurate, it is a string, but we need to specify period /SSL/ and then the name of our certificate file. The certificate file is the one called localhost.pem, and then we also need to specify the SSL key and period /SSL/localhost-key.pem. And that's it. That's all we need to do to get this working. So long as you could install mkcert, but just do double check this. Please be accurate here, because once again, any typos with strings is the #1 cause of things not working on this course. Typos. So with that in place, let's go back to the terminal. We'll cd back up a level because we'll need to be inside our client folder to run our Angular app. And we'll run ngserve and get our Angular app started. And what we can see now is that our app is running on HTTPS localhost 4200. And if we go back to the browser and we'll paste in the new URL in here, and now we're running on HTTPS. And if I click on the little button here, I can see that my connection is secure and the certificate is valid. And we can see that this is the mkcert development certificate. It is self-signed, but because we installed a local certificate authority, then our browser trusts that one. So mkcert sets up some security features that allows it to trust this certificate, so we don't see any of those nasty warnings that you would normally see when using a self-signed certificate. So, once again, if that didn't work for you, please don't worry. Running this on HTTP rather than HTTPS is equally fine to do so. And also, another reason that worked is because earlier on, when I configured CORS, at the same time as adding the HTTP address, I also added the HTTP address as well. So if you're getting a CORS error, please do come and check this configuration. So now we've got everything configured to complete the walking skeleton on the client side of things. Let's just go ahead and save our changes into source control. Now the Angular app did itself come with a git ignore file. If we take a look inside our client folder, and this node modules folder is huge, so let's just shrink everything. Inside here we also have a git ignore file. Now the main one we need to exclude is node modules. That folder is huge. we certainly don't want to be saving that into our source control. We don't need to. We've got the information about that in the package.json that can be recreated at any point just by running npm install from the information contained inside here. So let's commit our changes into source control, and I'm going to stage the changes by clicking the plus button, and I'm going to say end of section 3 and commit these changes and then sync them on up with GitHub. And this action will pull and push commits to and from origin main. That caught me by surprise, to be honest. And I'm just going to say OK and get these changes up to GitHub. And sure, they have gone up there successfully. So we'll wrap up this section with a summary.